Hey guys, this is Jacques from MakuluLinux, and I know I haven't made a video for quite a while, but we are near the final stages of completing MakuluLinux LinDoz edition, and it's been a long ride. We've been working on this for more than a year. It's a complete overhaul, so I'm going to just show you what's been done, what to expect, and what it looks like. So not much has changed in terms of the desktop look, apart from, of course, the conky clock over here. We have the conky with the user information. Don't mind the clock. I'm in Vietnam, so it's using like squiggly language there. Top running processors. We've got a little news feed that sends little headlines to users should they need to know anything important. The desktop layout pretty much still looks the same as the previous version of Lindos, with the bottom panel, system icons on the bottom right, system favorites on the bottom left, the menu, some icons on the desktop, and a nice beautiful wallpaper. So that's pretty much all still the same. We have changed the menu. Previously we used the configurable menu. We've now changed to a much more traditional menu, or traditional style menu, which is more like the sort of almost Windows 10 look. It's a much more standard, with the categories on the left, with the large icons on the right. It's a nice scrolling menu, very easy to use, really, really looks stylish. Very, very nice and easy. It can be configured as well. You can just right click configure and go through the options. So it's a really nice menu. It's actually one that's been used by a lot of Mint users, so a lot of users will be comfortable with this menu, and people coming from environment like Windows 10 or whatever will also be quite comfortable with this menu. So that's a really nice menu. Um, the themes and wallpapers, obviously, because that's going to be a big thing that everybody's going to go on about. Now, Lindos is not a Windows 10 or Windows 7 clone. There's too many distros out there that are cloning Windows. We were not going for that. We did theme it similar to Windows, but apart, that's where it ends. We pretty much keep Linux as Linux. It just has a sort of just enough theming to make a sort of a guy coming from Windows comfortable. You've got the Windows icons and themes, obviously, but apart from that, we haven't gone overboard. That's where the relationship between the Windows look and Linux ends. When you first boot up, you have a nice new setup manager, which actually guides you through setting up your PC. This is really nice. This is a nice little addition to the distro. So when you first boot up, after install, not in live mode, it will actually guide you through setting up your network, checking for updates, installing your drivers, setting up your firewall, setting up your snapshot, and so forth, and then choosing a theme, and of course then exiting, finished. So we've got this nice little setup manager to make it easier for people to initially set up the basic functionality of the distro. So that's really nice. That's something new that Lindos didn't have before. We've also added some right click options. For example, if you're on the desktop and you want to quickly change your themes or whatever, you can just right click and choose themes straight from the desktop, and it pops up. Now, by default, if you open this advanced theme manager, by default, I'm inside a virtual machine, so expect a bit of sluggishness. By default, Cinnamon uses this very advanced theme manager where you've got to go set your borders and icons and controls and mouse pointers and the desktop theme, set them all manually and separately. And we have many options in here. We've got the Windows 10 kind of look, the Windows 7, Windows Classic 98, XP. There's a very old Windows 3.1 look there. Same with the icons and the control themes. You've got many options. However, by default, most people associate with one of these four. These four are probably the four most popular themes that most people coming from Windows will feel comfortable in. You know, either the classic theme because they ran the very old classic PCs, or the XP theme, or a Windows 7 kind of theme, or the new Windows 10 theme, depending on which generation of Windows you're coming from. So we made it quite easy for them to switch to one of those without having to go and swap out everything. You can just right click on the desktop, choose themes, and then just select one. So if you select classic, it will change everything. It will change the classic theme, the control theme, the borders, the icons, the shell theme, everything will change to classic. Even if you open up a file manager now, you'll see that you've got a very classic kind of look. The same with Windows XP. You can just select Windows XP, select Windows 10, or go back, you'll see there that it's got sort of a more Windows 10 kind of look and feel to it. Or you can simply just go back to the standard theme that's installed, which is a kind of a Windows 7 looking theme. So that makes selecting themes so easy. You can just right click the desktop, choose themes, and just click select and swap and change between them so quick and easily. You can obviously also go to the advanced theme manager and change things up. Maybe you want to mix and match. For example, you want to use the black borders, not the blue borders, and you want to use the Windows 10 icons, not the Windows 7 icons, and you want to use let's say you want to use the Windows Server control theme, and you want to use let's say you want to use the Windows 7 black theme to match the borders. Now you're going to see you've got this very kind of cool looking mix and match between Windows 7 lookalike and Windows 10 icons and so forth. So maybe you want to use like a XP mouse or whatever. So you can mix and match quite easily by opening up the advanced theme manager and just shaking things up if you want. I mean, that's quite easy to do. And of course, if you want to go back to one of the defaults, you simply right click, choose themes, and just select a default theme like the Windows 7, for example. So that's really easy now to set your theme. So basic, so easy. Look how quick that is, and I'm inside a virtual machine and it works so effortlessly. Okay, we've also added the change background option to the right click desktop. So you can just right click anywhere on the desktop, you can go change background, and that will bring up the little background ribbon, which you can scroll with a mouse, or you can drag this little slider up and down. You can just select the background, just click on a background, and that's it, and then just right click close. That's it, background's been changed. Do it again, change background. Let's select something else here. I want to go to a very light background because I want to show you something else. Okay, so that's it, easy to select. Just right click, change the background, and then choose one and close. You can also over here choose wallpaper selector, and of course you can go to the system settings menu, and here you can find themes advanced, and backgrounds there. If you select backgrounds there, it will open the ribbon again. So everything's integrated into Cinnamon itself. It's part of the OS. Okay, so now you'll notice something else though. Now that I've changed the background, and by the way, we have a really nice, huge, big selection of really nice wallpapers. I mean, these are stunning. You'll have to wait to see those, but there's some stunning wallpapers there. However, now look what I've done here. I've set the desktop wallpaper, but now I have this problem with the clock is now, not popping up the way it should. We've got a white clock on a very light desktop. We've also added a feature here for desktop clock. You can just right click on the desktop and choose desktop clock, and you can choose either a black clock or a white clock. Of course, the white clock goes better on darker backgrounds, and the black clock goes much better on lighter backgrounds. Since we chose a very light background, we can just click select black clock and watch it change instantly. Look at that, so quick and effortlessly. Just desktop clock, and you can switch to white or switch to black. It takes a second to refresh, and that's it. So if you want to use even your own personal wallpapers or whatever, and you find that the wallpaper is too light for the clock, just change to a black clock, or if the wallpaper is too dark for the clock, just change to a light clock. So easy. Black and white, they go on all wallpapers. Doesn't matter which wallpapers you use. one of the two clocks will just work out perfectly. So that's really nice. Going through some of the wallpaper selections here, you've got some stunning wallpapers, some really, really stunning wallpapers. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to keep some of it surprise for you guys. I want to go back to the default one though. This one you can use obviously a black or a white clock, which is nice because quite a lot of the wallpapers you can use either one, but I like the white clock on this specific wallpaper. So yeah, so you've got now the right-click themes, right-click desktop backgrounds, right-click desktop clock. So you've got quite a lot here at your fingertips that you can just quickly customize the look and feel of your desktop just by right-clicking. Okay, we've also added a system settings into the right-click menu because usually you would have to go into the actual menu to open system settings. You can now access that straight from the desktop, so you can just right-click open system settings. So if you need to quickly go change something on your account, add a printer or set up languages or change preferred applications, or go to power management or system info, whatever. If you open system info there, you'll see that I'm on a virtual machine here. Or you need to do anything, whatever you need to do, you can just right click and choose system settings. That's it. Just open system settings. So we've also got obviously a virus scanning here, so you can scan for viruses. Doesn't matter which folder you right click on, you can right click on a folder or a file and you'll have scan for threats over there as well. Scan for threats, doesn't matter where you are. So if you feel that you need to scan for viruses, you can. Now I know a lot of people are going to say yes, but Windows does not get Linux does not get viruses, only Windows gets viruses. That's not true. Linux actually does get viruses. It's just not popular or not common, but I don't know where you're going to browse. I don't know what you're going to be doing on your PC. So better safe than sorry. Firstly. Secondly, we have Wine fully integrated. Wine is fully integrated in Lindos. And therefore, some users might actually run Windows software on here. So it's always good to have a virus scanner. You just cannot go wrong. So we found, we decided that it was just better to integrate it into the system. Okay. So on a whole, it's very much a very sort of comfortable OS. You've got your file manager at the bottom here. You've got a Google Chrome installed. You've got your terminal. You've got the software center, which is the GNOME package kit software center. Very easy to use, very comfortable. You can just install anything from here. Really nice. You've got the update manager, which is the typical Ubuntu update manager. And by the way, we have a Debian version of Lindos that's we're still currently working on, but this is the Ubuntu-based version. We have both. We have both the Debian and the Ubuntu. This is the Ubuntu-based version. It's the one that's most further along in development and the one that will probably be released first. But we do also have a Debian version in the works. Timeline on that is yet unknown, but it is functional. Anyway, so this one does fully support PPAs, which is nice. It also comes with a Synaptic Package Manager, Driver Manager, Firewall, lots of nice apps pre-installed out of the box. You've got your calculator, disks, your compression tools are installed. You've got some Paint apps, some image viewers, document viewers. You've got Skype is installed, Steam is set up, pre-set up with all the 32-bit libraries. You run Steam, you won't have an issue installing games. You won't have an issue using Protoss or Proton? It's the app that they use now in Steam to make Windows games play easy on Linux in Steam. I know one of the testers uses it. He has no issues with it. In fact, he's been making movies showing it working in Lindos or on Makulu distro, so really nice. That works out of the box. You've got an RDP client. You've got some audio and video players, as well as a Kazam for screen recording. You've got an onboard screen keyboard, which is nice. So you got a lot of the stuff that you would probably find in a Windows distro as well. A lot of this stuff is pre-installed in a Windows distro. You install Windows 10, you got an audio recorder, you got a video player, you got you got your internet browser, you got Skype and so forth. A lot of this is a couple of extras, but there's a lot of the same kind of stuff installed here. So somebody coming from a Windows environment should be quite comfortable. I mean, initially there would probably be a little bit of awkwardness because this is not the Windows 10 menu, so they'd have to get used to the placement of things and what some of the things are. Like, for example, in Windows you have Notepad, but here you have LeafPad, so similar names, so that shouldn't be too hard for them to make that crossover. And you've got LibreOffice instead of Microsoft Office, but the icons look similar, so it should be quite easy for yeah, you have Evolution Mail, not Microsoft Mail. So you've got Google Calendar here, which most people should be familiar with. This is a really nice calendar, by the way, very easy to use, and it comes pre-installed. Just out of the box, it works. So there are some things that users might find a little bit awkward, I guess, in the beginning if they're coming from a Windows environment, but not so much that they can't make the crossover. I mean, calendar, how difficult is that? It's quite easy, just click it. Time shift is probably one the way they're going to be stuck a little bit. If you open time shift, this is actually used for creating a restore point, similar to, I don't have enough space on this virtual machine though, I don't think. This is the same as creating like a system restore point on Windows. It takes a snapshot of your distro so that you can roll back to that snapshot at any point in time. It's very handy for if you like mess up your system, or you install a bad driver or install a bad package that you can't undo. Sometimes you get into a really situation where you can't undo certain things. Oh, it does. I have enough space. Okay, so next. When do I want to make the backup? Daily, monthly, hour? Let's go daily. Yeah, daily. Keep 5 backups. Okay, next. Choose which user. Yeah, whatever. Next. Finished. And that's it. It will now make snapshots here. So very nice. And you can use a snapshot to revert your system at any point in time. So this is a very comfortable OS. I mean, as you can see, I'm just browsing around here. It feels comfortable, easy to use. You've got all the options here. Cinnamon on its own is quite a comfortable desktop environment. We've really sort of just tweaked the crap out of it. We've kind of made it our own, and so which is what Lindos has always been about. It's quite a heavily tweaked Cinnamon desktop, but in this case we've integrated quite a lot of features into the Cinnamon itself. So you can manage your clock quite easily straight from the desktop, your backgrounds. You can add desklets, by the way, so you can add desklets to the desktop if you want, should you want to add applets to the panel. However, we have removed the ability to use extensions. Extensions is completely removed and disabled. You cannot even do it even if you want to. So, but we do have a lot of nice things in here. It's a very comfortable OS to use. Very easy and smooth for people coming from a Windows environment, and for people in a Linux environment will be quite comfortable as well. I mean, I have about 27 testers that I send this to. Um, the ones that I do hear back from or do hear from on a regular basis, they love the OS, and they all die-hard Linux users. Many of them have been using Linux for many years, probably longer than I've been using it. So um, yeah, they're very happy with it. And anyway, so this is the Lindos edition. This is where we are right now, a fully operational working distro that is very comfortable to use for Linux users as well as Windows users. You've got a nice little clock on the desktop. You've got some beautiful wallpapers. You've got some really crazy cool themes that you can use. It's very comfortable, very easy. I would say that coming from because I use both Linux and Windows, by the way. I use Windows for a lot of my graphic design work. I just can't seem to do the same stuff in Linux, but I use Linux for a lot of other stuff, pretty much everything else. And I've got to tell you that coming from Windows, this is very comfortable. It's extremely comfortable, and this was the goal, the end goal. Everybody designs an OS for mostly nowadays they design it for special effects, and they want to clone everything. They're down to the little AWP button, and all this adds to make the system sluggish and to make everything take like 2 seconds longer to open. And At the end of the day, the guys making Windows-like distros end up making it too much like Windows that a lot of the Windows users just end up going back to Windows. That was not our goal. Our goal was not to replicate Windows. What's the point of that? If you're doing that, users might as well go use Windows. Some of the distros even rename everything. They'll rename this to Notepad and that to Microsoft Mail, and to make it too much like Windows. In the end, you might as well use Windows. No, our goal was simple. We wanted people to be comfortable. We wanted the Windows users to come to Linux and feel comfortable. There's just enough almost Windows kind of theming and feel to make you comfortable, but it's all Linux. The same with the Linux users. The Linux users that use it will be like, oh, this kind of looks like Windows. But when they use it, they feel, wow, it's actually quite comfortable to use. Everything's easy. Everything's easy. You don't have to click 5 times to do anything. You can just right-click themes, right-click background, right-click clock, right-click system settings, right-click scan for viruses. Your Wine is pre-installed, Steam is pre-installed. You got a nice driver manager, calculator, calendar. You got an Office set right at your fingertips. You got snapshot manager that's pre-installed. All the stuff's pre-installed. Voice recorder right at your fingertips. So everything's done for you. There's very little that you actually need to do initially when you install. You could just start using it. And this is where I think Lindos really shines. We've also pre-installed a ton of hardware drivers, a ton of drivers. It doesn't matter on which PC you're going to install this. It should pick up your sound card, should pick up your Wi-Fi, should pick up your GPU. It should pick up your printers. People shouldn't have any problems installing this on their system with hardware. It's one of the things that we've always shined is we always keep our hardware driver base pre-installed on a massive scale. I know it does add quite a lot to the ISOs. It's probably why our ISOs are usually quite large. But at the end of the day, we don't have users that have to scramble around looking for drivers all day. They can just install. In this day and age, what is 500 extra megs? When you can download 3 gigabytes in 5 minutes. So anyway, so this is where we stand with Lindos. I just thought I'd make this video just to show the users that we are working on it. It's coming to you guys very soon. I can't even stress how close we are to releasing this. I mean, we're literally polishing at the moment, and I'm just getting in a couple of issues with maybe the clock is off center over here or some tiny stupid thing that I need to fix. It's mostly ridiculously small, tiny bugs that are being reported. All the big stuff is all been fixed. There's no issues. We do, however, keep the standard with the kernel, 4.15 kernel that comes within the Bionic repos. By the way, this specific build of Lindos runs on the Ubuntu Bionic repos. Those are, I think, valid until 2023, but you can extend till 2028. So it does have between a 3 and 5 year, or 3 and 8 year lifetime. So that should be more than sufficient for anybody that wants to install it. You can, however, even though we keep with the standard kernel that is in the repo, we do have Uku installed. Uku is installed, as you can see there. Where's Uku? Uku is the kernel update utility. So you can install the newest kernel should you wish to. Okay, advanced users that like to run the newest kernel. Okay, this is going to take a while, I can see. Okay, so it's refreshing all the kernels, but 5.14 or whatever the new kernel is, it's 5 point something, I think, 5.4 or 5.14. I'm not quite sure. I haven't been quite keeping up to date. I know it's past 5. But if you want to run the latest kernel, so easy. Just open up Uku, install it, and done deal. We do have one of the testers, the guy that actually likes to play Steam games. He's got an AMD system, and he loves to run the latest kernel. So he's always testing the latest kernel. So, I get feedback from him. If he installs the latest kernel and there's a problem, he usually is the first guy to let me know. So we don't, the current latest kernel is fully operational with Lindos. Very nice. Another last thing I want to point out here is that Lindos now comes with a Constructor utility. Now, I didn't really want to reveal this Constructor Manager yet, because Makulu Constructor has overgone a complete overhaul, a massive overhaul on the Makulu Constructor, and there's a reason for that. We actually have another release that's I'm not going to shine a spotlight on it right now, because this is all about Lindos at the moment, but we do have some very big news up and coming about the MakuluLinux Constructor, and it's the reason we overhauled this. 5.5 is the latest kernel. 5.4.14 I think was the last one I saw. So there's been a couple of updates. 5.5 is the latest kernel, which you can easily just click install and it's done. So easy. So you can even update the latest kernel without much fuss. But the Constructor tool, which is complete overall, now has a lot more features, a lot more support. Wow, you can really customize your distro with this, and we've got a full video guide included as well. It is also completely free to use now. Before it was a paid feature, so you had to pay to use Constructor, but now you can just click to retrieve the current password. We update the password randomly, so there's the password is alpha1, as you can see. And so now when you compile the ISO, let's just hit on compile here, you see it automatically creates a live installer the moment you compile. I'm going to skip this first part because this backs up your profile. Skip that and just go straight to Constructor. But if you go to Constructor, as you can see here, they had asked for password. Previously you had to pay for that, but now it's completely free. So you just type alpha1, enter, it will now verify your login. There it's been verified, continue, and you can now start Constructor. So as you can see, let me just remove that. Constructor is now fully free to use as well, so that's really nice. And there's a video guide here that actually tells you how to use all these options. As you can see, you've got your boot options, you've got software options, you've got the installer settings for configuring live users and welcome messages and package lists and everything. Your installer config, you've got the constructor settings, include list, exclude list, distro settings. So there's a lot of stuff here that wasn't in Constructor before. We've, like I said, Constructor's gone a major overhaul. You got this nice, beautiful GUI to use as well. And yeah, in the end, when you're done, you can just compile an ISO and reinstall that on any other PC that you want. Anyway, so this new Constructor tool is also part of Lindos. So that's really nice, because right now with this new Constructor tool, I don't think there's any Constructor tool builder or what a distro builder out there anywhere in the world that will actually match this Makulu Constructor. Because don't forget, Makulu Constructor is fully compatible with both Debian and Ubuntu. Most construction tools out there are very simple, and most of them either support Debian or they support Ubuntu, but they don't usually support both. Also, Makulu Constructor is designed in such a way that I don't have to always update the constructor every time the kernel changes. There are some times that there are major changes to a kernel that does require updates to constructor, but it's not on every build. So I know a lot of the other building tools out there, every time there's a change to a kernel somewhere, everybody has to report all the issues, and it takes weeks for the constructor tool or whatever tool they use to construct to be updated to handle the new kernel. That's not the case with Makulu Constructor. It works out the box every time. Another nice thing about Makulu Constructor is, unlike most other tools where you have to attach an installer of your choice to the tool and manually go through all of that, Makulu Constructor is automated. It comes with its own version of Calamairs that's been heavily customized. So as you saw there, the moment I hit compile ISO, it puts a live installer icon on the desktop. That live installer has already been pre-loaded into the system. So it comes with its own version of Calamairs, which is pre-compiled. Okay, and not only pre-compiled, with this new constructor, you can literally go here and set your distro name. So you can edit settings, set the distro name, build number, and so forth. And it will actually even update the live installer with your distro name, should you wish to rebrand the distro. So this is all automated. It is so awesome and so cool. I can't even express to you guys what a great year 2020 is going to be once we start releasing all of these things. But I tell you, Lindos is looking so awesome, so comfortable to use, really easy. Just look at this. You know, comes also, sorry, it also comes with a couple of games: Sudoku, chess, you know, solitaire, couple of useful apps. I mean, useful games as well to take over time. So this is really nice. Coming from like a Windows environment, completely comfortable for a Windows user to use. Coming from a Linux environment, easily just as comfortable to use. Something new to play with, really nice, supports PPAs as well, you know. So anyway, that's it. I don't want to extend this video much longer because I've been talking for a while, but this is MakuluLinux LinDoz edition, working out of the box, some stunning features coming, great OS. I think you guys are going to really love it, and I think it's going to shine in 2020 because we've really done our homework on this. We've been working on it and testing it for more than a year now, since the last Lindos. So it's had a complete overhaul, and I'm looking very much forward to releasing this. So yeah, keep an eye on MakuluLinux. I know we've been very quiet, but we've been quiet because we've been working so hard. And yeah, keep an eye on this. It's coming to you very soon. Cheers, guys.